The window opens tomorrow. Whoever starts today arrives with an advantage. How many Mondays have you gone through with a pretty promise and zero delivery? The list grows, the schedule fills up, but what counts in the real world remains pending. If this beginning of the week emptiness accompanies you, today the conversation changes. It's not about motivation, it's about commitment. And commitment begins before the impulse. It begins now. Tomorrow, Mars enters Sagittarius. This means advancement with direction and horizon. But this advancement only sticks to those who are already in motion. Therefore, this Monday has a clear function. Get out of the showcase and into practice. One concrete step is worth more than any perfect intention. Choose one path for the week, just one, and take a visible step today. Small, but undeniable. If your head tries to sabotage you, that's fine. You act anyway. The rule for this week is simple and adult. No excuses. The deadline is short, the gain is big, and the field responds to what you do, not what you intend. Comment? No excuses. It serves to firm up the commitment and register your step for today. Tomorrow, the window opens. When it opens, you will already be in motion. Every cycle turn begins with a simple and relentless test. What you do in the first useful hour of the week. This is where most people stumble. The body wakes up with leftover tiredness, the mind opens several tabs, the schedule looks promising, and suddenly, the day becomes a corridor of messages, answers, and micro-tasks that give the feeling of movement without real delivery. The first test is to separate movement from progress. Movement is noise. Progress is a trace in the world. If your Monday usually delivers noise, this is the correction point. The astral environment helps to understand why today is decisive. Mars at the gates of Sagittarius is a clear sign of advancement with direction, but impulse without direction scatters. Sagittarius asks for a mental arrow, not a metaphor. In practice, this means choosing a single path for the week, translated into a verifiable result. A vague intention doesn't count. Something that exists outside of your head counts. A file sent, a meeting scheduled, a module completed, a piece published, a budget closed. If you look at your own Monday and cannot name a visible result by the end of the day, the pattern is inverted. First, you decide what you deliver. Then, you distribute the rest of the work around that. The second test appears in how you manage the first interruptions. They always arrive. Messages, new demands, news, pending items that seem urgent. The diagnosis is to observe whether you surrender to each request as if it were a moral obligation, or if you protect the block that sustains the week's delivery. Protecting isn't disregarding anyone. Protecting is setting boundaries and times. Whoever starts the week apologizing to everyone ends up apologizing to themselves. The field doesn't reward those who explain themselves. The field responds to those who deliver. The third test is in perfectionism, disguised as preparation. It whispers that a little more reading is needed, one more adjustment, one more tool, one more draft. The promise is security. The result is delay. Perfectionism is usually the last mechanism of inertia in pretty clothes. When Mars changes signs, what counts is the gesture that opens the road. An imperfect gesture that drags the project out of the drawer is worth more than 3 hours polishing a draft nobody sees. Today's progress needs to be photographable, attachable, traceable. If you can't show it, it's probably still in tension. The fourth test is emotional. Every Monday has a small moral hangover from what wasn't done the previous week. This memory can turn into energy or turn into weight. If it turns into weight, you pull the handbrake and try to negotiate a gentler start with the week. If it turns into energy, you transform the frustration into focus. The difference lies in the question you ask yourself. Instead of "why didn't I do it?" the useful question is what part is under my control in the next 2 hours. The emotional cut that inaugurates the week is not anger or self-punishment. It's a commitment to a minimal action that has a real effect on the board. Now, the symptom. It always appears the same way. You open the day with 3 or 4 active fronts, none defined, and you alternate between them trying to feel like you've advanced. At the end of the afternoon, the feeling is of having walked a lot and gone nowhere. The diagnosis is to admit that Monday is being used for infinite warm-up, not to open the route. The correction is to choose one front, just one, and decide what the next step is that doesn't depend on motivation, only on execution. It doesn't need to be big. It needs to be executed in a short time and leave a trace. Practical example. If your work depends on contact, today's step is to send the request with a date, not eternally prepare the perfect message. If it depends on production, the step is to publish the minimal piece that validates the stage, not reformulate the month's plan. If it depends on study, the step is to conclude a block with a test and notes, not watch 3 more classes without applying. The pattern is the same in all areas. Choose, execute, register. Registering matters because it transforms feeling into fact. Fact pulls the next facts. This is how a week changes. Now, with the diagnosis clear, the part that counts begins, transforming impulse into concrete direction throughout the week. Imagine your Monday as it really is. The desk with a half-empty mug, the phone blinking, a tab open you don't even remember why. The body wants rhythm. The mind wants a map. This is where Mars approaches Sagittarius and changes the quality of the air. It's not noise, it's a feeling of advancement. It's that desire to leave the house knowing where you're going, even if the path has curves. Mars is an engine. It starts, it pushes, it makes the blood circulate and asks for a visible gesture. But an engine without a road just spins its wheels. Enter Sagittarius, the sign that points outward, that chooses a long direction, that seeks meaning on the path. When these two combine, life asks for one simple and adult thing: transform will into a trajectory. It doesn't need to be the perfect trajectory. It needs to be a possible path with a clear first stretch. Bring it close to home. You wake up, look at your schedule, and see 5 fronts competing: work, home, study, health, a project that's been calling you for months. Instead of trying to embrace everything, the Sagittarian movement asks for priority with purpose. Which front, if you make real progress on it, improves all the others as a result? Deep down, you know. There's one that, when it moves, the rest feels lighter. Start with it today, not tomorrow. Mars is igniting the impulse, and Sagittarius is offering a horizon. The perfect pair to inaugurate the week isn't haste, it's consistency with meaning. If it helps, create a scenario. You close the bedroom or office door, take 2 complete breaths, get a pen and paper, and write at the top, week of November 3rd to 10th. Below it, one single question: what visible delivery will change my month if completed by Sunday? Write the answer without adornments. Then, break it into 3 blocks that fit in your calendar. This isn't theory. These are 3 pieces that fit into your days, with a beginning and an end. This is the spirit of Sagittarius when Mars turns on, an objective that breathes, pieces that move. Notice how the body responds when you see a short stretch. Anxiety decreases because there is a nearby arrival point. Perfectionism loses strength because the standard is realistic. With each small advance, the internal system keeps score. It's almost physical. You finish a micro block and feel like closing another. This is the cadence we want for the next 6 weeks of the transit. Not a peak of energy followed by exhaustion, but a constant walk with intelligent pauses and resumptions. Now, an image to anchor during the next few days. Think of a wide road crossing a field. The sky is clear and the light is firm. There is no audience, no external pressure, just you walking with a steady step. To the left, distractions that shine and promise shortcuts. To the right, tasks that seem urgent but change nothing. In front of you, a simple milestone set for the end of the afternoon. Reaching it is worth more than responding to 10 small things. When doubt hits, look at this internal milestone and keep going until you get there. Then, you decide the next one. Want to bring this to today, right now? Choose the front that pulls the others. Give it a name. Define the 90-minute block. You can protect this Monday. Set alarms. Close notifications. Let whoever needs to know that you'll be back later. And start. You don't need to feel epic motivation. You need a real start. If an interruption appears, treat it like a stone in the path. Step around it and return. What matters is maintaining the feeling of an open road. This is what Mars in Sagittarius offers. This is what your week is asking for. At the end of the day, register what became visible in the world. An important message finally sent, a file delivered, or a drawer organized, the workout completed and marked, a chapter studied with notes, lunch prepped for tomorrow. This record is your trail. Tomorrow, when the energy officially changes, you don't start from zero. You activate continuity. And continuity is what transforms desire into results. Every week begins with the same temptation, waiting to feel certainty before acting. It seems reasonable to wait for the perfect moment, but time charges interest. When you postpone the first step, you don't just lose a day. You lose the cycle's momentum. With Mars entering Sagittarius, the beginning has an energy bonus that favors a strong start. Ignoring this bonus turns the week into a road where you're spinning your wheels. You move, but you go nowhere. The feeling of incompetence doesn't come because you did nothing, but because you lacked what the body recognizes as a real start. Delay has polite forms. It arrives as extra research, as one more video, as one more app to organize your routine, as the idea that tomorrow will be lighter. The name is different, the effect is the same. You trade impact for comfort, and too much comfort at the beginning of a cycle weighs you down. It weighs because what was within your reach today will no longer be at the same point tomorrow. The conversation that would be natural becomes a formal request. The workout that would be light becomes damage control. The simple message becomes a long explanation. The house that needed 15 minutes becomes an entire afternoon. The price of delay is a multiplier. There is also the delay that looks like kindness to the world and becomes disloyalty to oneself. You accept everyone's demands and promise yourself you'll deal with your own things later. At the end of the day, you discover that what was yours was left with no space. Mars in Sagittarius asks for a different posture. Not to be rude, to be an adult who chooses a priority, communicates with respect, and honors their own commitment. When you say yes to everything, you say no to what would sustain your week. This hidden no is what creates Friday's frustration. The body feels it. The head gets heavy. The chest loses that tone you recognize when you're doing what needs to be done. The house gets small signs of delay, accumulated dishes, scattered clothes, papers out of place. Work gets similar signs, files open, none finished. Personal life copies the same logic. Important conversations saved for a later that never comes. If you notice this mirror forming, cut it off before it becomes habit. You don't need a speech, you need an act that ends the inertia. 15 focused minutes now are worth more than an hour after the energy has scattered. There is also emotional delay, the one that starts with the phrase, "I'll do it, but I feel small." It's honest to admit. It's just not useful to feed it. The way out isn't to inflate self-esteem. It's to reduce the mission to the size of one step. Small step. Real effect. An email could become an objective message. A project could become one written page. A workout could become 20 squats. A simple stretch. A walk around the block. A messy house could become one clean surface that changes the feeling of the environment. Delay loses strength when it meets a victory that doesn't depend on inspiration. Think about tomorrow, Mars already in Sagittarius, the air asking for advancement. Whoever started today sits differently in their chair. They feel a respect for themselves that cannot be bought. It's discreet and deep. The mind stops fighting with the schedule because there is a point of support. Whoever left it for later wakes up with the same old speech and the same old resistance. It's not punishment, it's cycle mechanics. When the beginning fails, everything demands more energy than it should. When the beginning happens, the rest flows with a silent dignity. To close, a simple image. You get home at the end of the day and notice that a task that jams your routine is looking at you. It could be folding the clean laundry, washing the pan you avoid, emptying your backpack, answering a person who was left waiting. If you do this task now, the house's mood changes, your mood changes. This is the kind of gesture that runs over delay, and it doesn't need 3 hours, it needs a 5-minute decision. The same goes for work and study. Choose the minimal action that changes the inertia. Do it and register it. The registry creates a memory of victory. The memory pulls you to the next one. If you needed to read this far to be convinced, great. Convincing done. Now the step. When you close the video, choose one thing that fits in your day and finish it. Delay doesn't go away on its own. It retreats when it encounters action. When the head wants to complicate things, routine saves you. Today's tool fits into 2 minutes. No apps, no spreadsheets. Paper, pen, and sincerity. Right at the top, week November, row 3, 10. Below, 3 empty lines. Each line is a visible delivery that fits into your real life, not the idealized version of your day. Visible delivery means something you can point to and say, it's done. To make it easier, choose one from each sphere. Home, body, project. This way, the week doesn't get unbalanced. In the home sphere, look for the point that changes the environment's mood in a short time. It could be organizing the desk where you work, washing the accumulated dishes that drain you, taking out the trash and opening the windows, folding the laundry that's jamming the room. Write just one delivery for the week with a probable day and time. Example, Tuesday, 7 p.m. Clean and functional desk. This is measured by the eye. You glance at it and know if it's done. In the body sphere, choose a delivery that doesn't depend on epic willpower. A 20-minute walk, a simple workout at home, a full stretch, preparing the day's water bottles, cooking rice and beans for 2 lunches, leaving washed fruit in the fridge, all count. Write one delivery with an approximate day and time. Example, Wednesday, 7:30 a.m., 20-minute walk. The body recognizes fidelity and returns energy. In the project sphere, select the piece that pushes the month forward the most. It could be a written page, a drafted video, an important contact sent, a class completed with notes, a closed budget, research finished with a clear conclusion. Write the delivery with the day and time you can actually sit down and do it. Example, Thursday, 3 p.m., page 1 completed and saved. Now comes the trick. Transform each delivery into a block of 90 minutes or less. If it takes longer, break it down. A block that's too long feeds dispersion. A short, objective block invites the body to start. Set an alarm for the beginning and another for the end. At the start, take 2 breaths and say the name of the delivery in a low voice. This adjusts the mind. At the end, register it simply. A photo of the organized desk, a screenshot of the workout, a capture of the completed page, a check mark on paper. Registration is a trail. A trail becomes self-respect. If something unexpected comes up, don't throw the week away. Move the delivery to the next free time slot. Sagittarius likes direction, not rigidity. The commitment is to what's done, not to perfection. If you notice you chose goals that are too big, reduce them without guilt. Better 3 small completions than 1 giant promise that dies on Thursday. And if perfectionism comes with the talk that it's not good enough yet, publish the version that fulfills the function. The perfect delivery is the one that exists. Close the tool with a gesture that symbolizes commitment. It could be drinking a glass of water, standing up, looking out the window for 10 seconds, placing your hand on your heart, and saying quietly, "No excuses." It's simple and works as a trigger. From here, the week has a track. You return to it whenever you get dispersed. What matters isn't speed. It's returning to the track as many times as necessary. Confirmation is what you can show without a speech. It's not a feeling of a job well done, it's proof. When Mars enters Sagittarius, the week gains a more open playing field. To not get lost in it, you need simple markers that say, "I advanced." Think of the signs as signs on the road. Each sign reduces doubt and increases self-respect. First sign, something left your head and entered the world. The message you were postponing and finally sent counts. The publication of a minimal piece that fulfills a function counts. The drawer that was messing up your morning and now opens and closes without noise counts. The body recognizes this change. The environment feels lighter. You feel you've occupied space with decision. Second sign, you marked time on the calendar and honored the schedule. It wasn't about inspiration, it was about showing up. A 20-minute walk in the morning, a simple workout at home before work, preparing the next day's lunch so you don't depend on improvisation. When you keep small appointments, the entire day organizes energy around what matters. It's almost invisible to outsiders, but it changes everything inside. Third sign, a conversation was moved forward. It could be with a family member about a task that was accumulating. It could be with a friend to arrange a study session. It could be with a client or partner to define next steps. A moved forward conversation is different from an infinite conversation. It ends with a date, a next action, and who takes care of what. This is how the week creates tracks instead of quicksand. Fourth sign, something was registered. A photo of the organized desk. A simple checkmark on paper. A screenshot of your workout. 3 lines in a journal saying what you concluded today and what opens tomorrow. Registration isn't vanity, it's external memory. Without memory, the mind rewrites the day according to mood. With memory, you see the trail and trust it when your spirits fluctuate. Fifth sign, you made a choice that protected your route. You said no to an invitation that would steal your whole afternoon. You silenced notifications for 90 minutes. You left messages to answer after the block that sustains your delivery. This discreet protection is what allows the rest of life to work better. It's not selfishness. It's responsibility for what you decided to build. If you want to visualize it, imagine your day as a hallway with lights on the floor. Each light turns on when a sign happens. At the end, you look back and see an illuminated path. It doesn't matter if there were interruptions or if your mood varied. What sustains the week isn't perfection. It's a set of simple proofs that build continuity. Before sleeping, do the short check. What became visible today? What comes first tomorrow? 30 seconds are enough. If no sign lit up, choose a minimal gesture now. Lay out your workout clothes, wash the sink, send a time confirmation, open your notebook, and write 3 lines. Confirmation can be born in 5 minutes. The important thing is that it exists. Mars enters Sagittarius, and the landscape opens. Integration, here, is a cadence you can repeat for 6 weeks, without heroism and without drama. 3 pillars sustain everything. Move the body, push the front that pulls the month forward, keep the house breathable. They are the track. The rest organizes around them. Name the cycle's horizon. Nothing abstract. A sentence that fits on the fridge door. Finish a module. Publish 6 pieces weekly. Walk 100 kilometers total. Cook twice a week. Stabilize sleep at a fixed time. A clear horizon diminishes doubt and increases self-respect. Cut the friction before it cuts you. Choose one bottleneck at a time. Phone open all day, desk chaos, improvised meals, lack of natural light, broken sleep. Exchange habit for a simple gesture. Notifications off during the key block, clean surface at the end of the day, base meal prepped, 10 minutes in the sun in the morning. An alarm to go to bed, not just to wake up. Small adjustments untie big knots. Review every week without scolding. 3 questions are enough. What became visible? What got stuck? What changes? If it got too big, reduce it. If it got too small, raise the bar. If you repeated the same resistance, change the method. In 6 weeks, the sum of discrete corrections becomes a new biography. Create rituals that open and close the cycle. Sunday, 5 minutes to close. Discard, clean the surface, leave Monday ready. Early Monday, 5 minutes to inaugurate. Write the horizon sentence, mark the 3 pillars, choose the first block, and start. No speeches, just a gesture that inaugurates. When the flame rises and your head asks for a total revolution, remember, Sagittarius aims far, but what gets you there is the short step that returns to the track. Repeat the password of this transit and continue. No excuses. The strength that matters is the one you can repeat tomorrow. At the end of the cycle, you won't be motivated. You will be trained. Cadence generates respect. Respect generates continuity. Continuity delivers results. Tomorrow the window opens. Today you start. Not with a speech, but with a gesture that leaves a trail. Mars in Sagittarius pushes forward but only finds those already in motion. You don't need to feel greatness. You need a real start. A short block, a visible delivery, a simple registration. This is how the week levels up. Keep the measure. 3 pillars, a clear horizon, small adjustments when friction appears, review without scolding, choose the next step, and return to the track as many times as necessary. The cycle doesn't ask for perfection. It asks for continuity. When the body notices that you follow through on what you write, motivation becomes a consequence, not a condition. Now close here with commitment. Write in the comments, no excuses. Then execute the first delivery of your Sprint 1. When Tuesday arrives, you will already be advancing.